Welcome, everyone. All right, everyone's starting to jump in. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome. We'll give everyone just another minute or so to join. Those of you that have already joined, we'd always love to know where you're joining us from and who's with us. So go ahead and put your name and your district in the chat. Thanks, Marla. Welcome. Heather, great to see you. Michelle, thanks for joining. Torian, awesome. Sia, great to see you. We've got a good crowd today, Sharon.
We do. I love seeing some of these familiar names. Hi, Trixie. Oh,
I know
hey,
I was naming them all,
Christina.
but I feel like I'm not going to be able to keep up. There's so many folks here. So
I know. And hi, Marla. I'm so glad you could join us.
great. Thanks, everyone. Welcome. All right. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I know we'll probably still have some folks joining us, but we'll go ahead and get started. So as always, just a few housekeeping items. As you came in, you were automatically muted by Zoom, but we do have our chat that many of you have already found. We'd love for you to utilize that. You can also raise your hand and we will bring you off of mute if you have a question that you don't want to type. And as always, we're going to record today, so you will receive a copy of the recording in your inboxes after we're done here. So, and as always, I like to say we love our office hour sessions to be a discussion, so don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Thanks to everyone who has already joined. All right, so a little bit about our team today. Some of you might know my name is Rebecca Ames. I am a client success manager with K-12 Insight Onflo, formerly Let's Talk. And joining me today is a familiar face for many of you, my colleague Sharon Wilkinson. She is here to help me monitor the chat and just make sure that we have all of your questions answered today. And as a special treat today, we are joined by Stephanie Barney, our Vice President of Client Experience. She's graciously agreed to join us today and give us some information about our upcoming rebrand, where we're moving from K-12 Insight and Let's Talk into Onflo. So, Stephanie, if you're ready, I think we're all very excited to learn from you today. So I'm going to turn it over to you, give you the floor, and you can share with us what we can expect as we start to move forward.
Thanks, Rebecca. I'm excited to be here today. Um, I see a lot of familiar names in the chat there. And Rebecca, if you don't mind just forwarding to the next slide, we can get into our brand change. Perfect. So I don't think this is news to anybody. There's been a lot of communications going out via email and in product as well. We've also appreciated the feedback and responses that we've gotten from so many of you. But we're really excited to be evolving our product brand name from Let's Talk to Onflo. The new name really reflects what truly happens when people, systems, and service come together and conversations and processes can flow across your district. We hope that Onflow will represent focus, freeing your teams from repetitive, low-value tasks, scale by connecting every department in your district 24/7, and service by empowering staff to deliver great experiences to families and colleagues. While the Let's Talk icon and brand will be retired at the end of this school year, it will be replaced by very minimal Onflo branding on your customer-facing pages. What's important to remember is that this change doesn't require you to change how you talk about your district. You can continue using whatever language you already use to promote your commitment to customer service, engagement, and responsiveness. It's not about promoting a product name. We don't expect you to necessarily promote Onflo in your district. It's really about promoting the exceptional service culture you're building. Onflo is just the software that helps power that. And of course, your fantastic client success managers like Sharon and Rebecca are here to help every step of the way, from helping update any materials you might have to answering questions and ensuring that this transition feels seamless for your teams. And you can always reach out to me personally with any of your questions and feedback as well. But we will hope to share some additional marketing materials in early 2026 as you begin to make the transition or decide when you're going to make the transition with your customers and stakeholders. But again, we really anticipate that the changes you'll need to make are hopefully very minimal, where the Let's Talk icon might be going away. But if you still want to refer to the platform and the initiative as Let's Talk in your district, that is perfectly fine. We want to make sure you're able to do whatever works best for you and your stakeholders. I'll pause there. If anyone has any quick questions, I'm happy to answer while I'm on.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. I really appreciate that information, and I think hopefully everyone who's here does too. Not seeing anything come up through the chat, but we'll keep Sharon and I will keep an eye on that and voice anything that does come up.
Super. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks so much for sharing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dig in for the rest of our time today. We're going to be digging into our Onflo Let's Talk dashboards, and our goal here is to make sure that you're really getting the most out of the data that lives there. By the time you leave today, our goal is that you'll be able to feel really comfortable digging into and finding that data that you need in your dashboard, as well as sharing it out with your team or with any stakeholders who really want to know the impact that Onflo is having in your district. So before we start, if you've come to office hours, you know we like to start with a Zoom poll. Today is no exception. We're going to start with just getting a quick temperature check. In just a second, Sharon's going to launch that poll. And we want you to tell us, on a scale of 1 to 5, how comfortable are you with your Let's Talk dashboard, with your Onflo dashboard right now? 1 would be like you've never even looked at it, right? 2 might be you've kind of looked at it a little bit, but aren't really familiar with a lot of the metrics. 3, you've explored it and understand, but really want to learn a little bit more today. 4 is that you have some kind of specific data pieces you utilize it for. And then 5 is that you're already kind of there, you're an expert. It's part of your practice looking at the data, and you know kind of what it means. So tell us where you're at with that. Thanks for launching that, Sharon. All right.
I'm going to go ahead and close it out.
Okay, perfect. That's some really great information and helps us kind of know where we're at as far as where everyone is sort of starting at today. Fantastic. All right, let me get back to my screen here. Perfect. Okay, so like I said, our goal is that hopefully you walk away with at least one more thing that you know about your dashboard and that you know about your data and that you can incorporate into some of your data practices. So before we dig into the dashboard though, I think it's important to spend just a moment talking about why. Why do we care about data? Why do we want to look at data, right? We know that we can't really improve what we don't measure. So if you're not spending time looking at your dashboard data, really you're missing out on these opportunities to gain some actionable insights into those everyday interactions that your team is having with your community. And we know that along with the way that it helps your team provide customer service excellence, the ability to capture data and gain insights into trends is one of the big reasons why our districts love Onflo. Let's talk, right? All right, so having said that, let's go ahead and dig in. I am going to go live in my dashboard, and if you're able to, I would invite you to do the same because we'll kind of walk through everything together. So I'm logged into my Onflo Let's Talk account, and the way that I access my dashboard is by clicking on this little graph that's in the top left corner. So I'm going to go ahead and click into there, and we'll start by looking at our main dashboard page. So right up here at the top, you can see, we like to call this the header, right? And this is, are you guys still seeing the office hours poll on the screen? No, you're not. Okay, just making sure that was just my screen that was still showing that. Let me close that there. Okay, perfect. So at the very top, we've got this header, and this is a great way to just get a quick snapshot of your data. And then down here, you can see that we have the ability to choose what time frame, what date ranges we want to look at. So we can look at all-time data. We can look at current school year, last school year, all the way down to this week. And then we can also get some custom date ranges in there. So if there's a specific date range that you are looking to find data from, you can choose that in here. I think for today, we'll start with just looking at our current school year. And then you'll notice that when we adjust those dates, the data below changes as well. So once we've kind of determined what time frame we want to look at, let's take a look at these metrics. We're going to dig into each one of these. So first up, we'll start with our CX score. So CX stands for customer experience, and your CX score is an indicator of how your customers feel about the experience they've had in your district. And it's a really important first step to ensuring that you're providing that customer service excellence that we always talk about. Now, this score is measured on a 10-point scale. And when we click into this box, it's going to expand and give us a little bit more detail. Um, now, first thing I can see is this trend. So this allows me to see what are the average CX scores over time. But then I can also click right here on the right-hand side, and I can get this score distribution. So I can see the distribution of scores within that time frame that I've chosen. And then I can also scroll down here and I can see the specific tickets that where a CX score was given. And if I want to, I could even click into any of those tickets and see more information about them. Similar to CX scores, next to those over here, we have our positive experiences and our negative experiences. And those are based on CX scores. Now, in order for something to be considered a positive experience, it needs to have a CX score of 8 or higher. And then a negative CX score is going to be those that have a score of 5 or lower. And just like before, I can click into those and it's going to give me some information. I don't actually have any negative experience ones, so that's why this is showing no results, but I can see some words that were associated with those positive experiences. And then just like before, I can click and view those tickets that were considered to be positive, and then those ones that were considered to be negative as well. And this is just a really great way for you to kind of have eyes on both those great experiences that your clients and your customers are having, as well as those ones that might just need a little bit more attention. All right, so we're going to keep going down here. Next, we're going to look at ticket age, okay? This number represents the average number of days that it takes to close a ticket based on the hours of a business day. And this is a setting that you can actually adjust in your platform. You can choose to show your ticket age in hours or in days, and then you can set the number of hours in your business day, the hours of your business day, so that you can ensure that your tickets are aging according to the hours that your team is working. And then when I click on ticket age, again, I get this nice little chart. I can see the age distribution. And if I click right here, I can see the reply time trend. And remember that reply time is just another one of those metrics that we want to make sure that we're being quick and answering tickets and closing them out as quickly as we possibly can. Okay, let's keep. Oh, and then just like before, we can see the tickets that we can click into if we want to see what their age is and their reply time is. Okay, that brings us to looking at past due tickets. So if there are any tickets that are considered to be past due, those will show up here and I can take a look at those. By the way, for these tickets that you see, if you have any that are grayed out, that means that ticket has been marked as private, which is why we don't have the ability to see that information. And then I can also click on any of the tickets that I have that are critical tickets. And just as a reminder, a ticket is flagged as critical if it contains those keywords that your district has identified as important. If that's a feature that you're not sure how to turn on, we can talk about that at the end, or you can always reach out to your CSM about that as well. Okay, I'm checking the chat. I'm not seeing any questions that are coming through. National averages for CX score, past due, ticket age. Matt, I know, so we do have for CX score the average, I think the nationwide average right now is about 8.4. Sharon, let me know if I'm correct on that. I don't know if we have a necessarily like a national average for past due or ticket age.
We do for ticket age and ticket age and CX score. If you click on that benchmark right next to overview, scroll up.
Oh, right,
There we
right.
go. And that will give you your national breakdown for those two.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can click on this, and this is exactly what that's for, is it's to show you that where you fall within that national kind of benchmark. Great question. So for the negative experience, Julie said that it would have to be a ticket that received a score that was below 5. Okay. Perfect. Okay, we're going to keep coming down here. So I'm just continuing to scroll down my dashboard, and that brings us to this summaries. Now, summaries are AI generated, and they're based on the data that's analyzed from your district's tickets during that time frame that you've selected. And you can see here that we're going to have a general overall summary, and we can see how many tickets are being analyzed as part of that. And then if I keep clicking through here, here's the tickets that weren't really identified as having a theme. Here's a summary of the tickets that were classified as technology tickets. I've also got school calendar tickets that it's giving me a summary of, and nutrition services and transportation. So these are a great way to just kind of get a quick insight into what your community is asking about. And these are a great tool that you can provide to any leadership who doesn't necessarily want to dig into the data, but they do want a quick overview of what's happening and what those kind of overall summaries are. Next up, let's talk about themes. So right below summaries are themes. And this is where I can go to see what are the topics that the community is submitting tickets about, right? So I've got this kind of overall general chart here. And if I click into this, it's going to give me a whole dashboard just for themes. So I can see what are the trending themes. Here are some summaries for the themes. And then I can also see where my tickets compare to national tickets as far as the volume of tickets. And then I can also see this word cloud for the themes. And we're going to talk more about word cloud in just a second. Let me come back to the main dashboard here. Okay, so let's talk about these word clouds, these community voice word clouds. Now, these word clouds here show which words were used most frequently in our tickets, and we can hover over a word. And when we do that, we'll be able to see an intensity score and a sentiment score. So let's talk about intensity first. So you can see this word employee is really large, and it is large because it occurs more frequently, has a higher incidence of being used in a ticket, right? But it's gray because it has a lower intensity. It's not generally a word where there's a lot of emotion attached to it. So it appears as gray instead of yellow. Whereas like the word bully, it's smaller, which means there aren't as many instances of bully appearing in my tickets. But because it usually has a little bit more emotion attached to it, it has a higher intensity score. And then I can see that for sentiment as well. So again, I can hover over and see the sentiment being, are there usually, is it negative or positive? And then again, that intensity for these words as well. And then I can also see that information in a table if I prefer to see it that way versus in a word cloud. And again, these are just a really great way for district leaders to kind of get more information and visibility into seeing how the community is feeling about the topics that they're submitting tickets about. All right, we're going to keep going a little further down here. We're going to start talking about our ticket metrics. So this is where we can see information about the type of customers that are submitting tickets. So right here, it's pretty common for parent or guardian or community member to be one of the largest groups, just because those are the folks that are usually reaching out the most, just depending on how you're utilizing Onflo. We can also see the ticket type, so questions, comments, suggestions, those kinds of things. And then continuing to scroll down, we can see the entry point. So where are our tickets coming from? They're coming from the landing page, they're coming from email, and these can be a great way to have visibility into kind of where folks are accessing Let's Talk and where they're seeing that. So for example, if I have text messaging set up, but I don't have very many that are coming in from text messaging, that might be some insight to me that I want to like get that information out to my community a little bit more about how they can reach us via text messaging. And then I can also see customer frequency. So this is going to be like folks who are submitting just one ticket versus folks who are submitting tickets multiple times. And then also note as you look at these metrics, if I hover over any of these bars, it's going to give me more information about each of these categories. Okay. We're going to continue on down, and now we're going to look at ticket activity here. So here's where we can see a graph of the tickets that are submitted and closed each month of the time frame that we selected, right? So I selected this school year, which means I can see July, August, September, and October. Note the colors for each of these. So green is going to be those tickets who have been closed. Blue means they're in progress. And then if I have any that are pending details, those are going to show up in orange, and any that are unopened are going to show up in gray. And this can help give us some visibility into when the most tickets are being submitted. Maybe at the beginning of the year, that's a really big ticketing time, but then that activity drops off maybe in the winter. This is where I'll be able to see those trends. Okay. And we're going to continue to scroll down here. Now we're going to look at top topics and top tags, right? So top topics, note here I can choose if I want to see all of the topics arranged by most popular to least popular, or I can just choose to see top 5 or top 10, depending on what I want to see here. And again, it's going to give me the number of tickets that are in those topics. And then if I hover over it, it's going to give me a percentage as well. And then we haven't really talked about tags yet, but these can be a really helpful and I think often underutilized feature. Tagging tickets is optional, but it's a great way to kind of categorize the messages that you're receiving. And it can be really helpful to identifying trends, right? We're going to look at our advanced search function in a little while, and I'll show you how you can use tags when it comes to that. But it's also one of the things that we can build workflows off of. And so this is something, if you're not utilizing tags, reach out to your CSM because they're a great thing to get set up, right? And then one more thing before we move on from the overview. Down here in the very bottom right corner, do you see this little message that tells me that this report was generated this morning at 4:23 a.m.? This is where your dashboard is refreshed once per day in the morning. But just know if you ever need to have up-to-the-minute data, you can always come down here and you can hit refresh report, and it'll refresh your dashboard so that it's up to the minute. Okay. Perfect. I'm just checking to see how we doing in the chat, Sharon. It looks like you're holding down those questions that are coming through.
Doing good. Yeah, we have some great questions coming, so continue to pop them in there.
Fantastic. All right. I'm going to go all the way back up because we've kind of explored all of those overview, like those metrics that are on this overview dashboard. But I want to spend some time now looking at how you can share, save, or download your dashboard data. So up here in the top right corner, you can see those options here. Let's look at share first. So I'm going to go ahead and click on share, and I get this little pop-up. And this is where I can send this dashboard, a link to this dashboard to anyone that I would like to see this. Now, I've already chosen this current school year, so that's what it's going to send. I'm just going to send it to myself. And let's see, maybe I'll say, send a little message that says, please see this data ahead of our meeting. So maybe I want to send this to someone who doesn't have an account and doesn't, really utilize Onflo, but they want to be able to see it. And I can also send a copy to myself. And then when I send that, I'm going to send off an email that's going to, let me show you, I've got it on a slide here. The person that you send it to will get an email that has this little box, and then they can click on view report. And I'll show you because I downloaded one before. This is what it looks like when they click on that view report, right? So it's a dashboard. I mean, you can see it looks just like the one that we looked at and the one that you have in your account. So this is a great way to kind of give anyone who wants to have this data or bring their attention to this data. The difference is that this is a snapshot. It's not a live dashboard as far as like as tickets come in or as tickets are managed. This link that I sent out isn't going to change. It's going to be exactly what it was the minute that I sent it out. So, but that's a great way that you can kind of share that dashboard with anyone who wants to see it. Okay, so now I'm back here in my platform, and I want to show you how you can save your dashboard. So right now I've selected for the current school year, but maybe what I want to do is I want to only just look at the last week, right? And I want it to be part of my practice that I regularly come in and I look at the data for that week. So I'm going to choose last 7 days and I'm going to click on save. And then I can name this. Let's just name it weekly report. And then when I save it, it's going to appear over here on the left-hand side as one of my saved reports. So that anytime I want to come in and look at this data, I don't have to pull it. I can just click on this report. We'll look at saved reports a little bit more when we look at filters, so that you can see kind of the different ways that you can utilize that function. But that's how you would save a report. Let's look at download. So when I click on download, here you can see that I can choose what I want to include. So do I want all of the things, the district overview, the community voice, trending themes, all of those things. And then I can choose the format. So I can choose to download it as PowerPoint slides with graphs, or I can choose to download it as a PDF, right? Once I choose that, I'm going to be prompted that it's pulling a report, it's pulling that data. And I actually went ahead and downloaded both of those formats so that we could see. So here's what it looks like if you choose the PowerPoint option. So you can see it generates these slides. I didn't do anything to this. This is just what it comes as. So it shows the dates that we're looking at. And then I get a slide for each component that we looked at in our dashboard, our score distribution, our trend, our age distribution, all of those things. So we tried to make it really nice so that you could either plug this into a presentation that you're preparing or even have this be your presentation that you share with someone. So that's what the PowerPoint slides look like. Here is what the PDF looks like of this. So really similar to what your dashboard looks like, but it just has each of those components in a PDF so that you can share that more easily. And again, these are just snapshots of what your dashboard looks like in that moment. Okay. So again, great way to share out with any of your leadership team or stakeholders that want to know the impact that Onflo is having. And we tried to make it as easy as possible so that you can utilize those PDFs or utilize those slides in any sort of presentation that you are doing. All right. Okay, so I think that about covers it for sort of our overview dashboard. Let me pause for just a second and see if there's any questions or anything that we want to voice that's come through in the chat. Sharon looks like.
Yeah, Carla had a great question of, are these saved reports seen by anyone? So currently only the person who creates that report will have access to it. I know we have a feature request in to be able to share those amongst your fellow team members, topic owners, system admins, etc. But currently those saved reports are only seen by the person who created it.
Yes, perfect. Yeah. So when you save this report, you can see it when you log in. Anyone else on your team would have to create that and save it under their dashboard as well. But yes, we have submitted that request to be something that is hopefully coming in the future that you could share that out. Yeah. Okay. Anything else before we move on?
Yeah, Mark, I'll drop into the chat how to bulk close tickets.
Perfect. Thanks, Sharon.
Yeah.
All right, great. All right, so that's kind of an overview of our overview dashboard. I want to show you some other aspects of the dashboard. Some of these are ones that you might have in your dashboard, but some of them are ones that you won't. It just depends on what you're currently utilizing. But we do also have our chatbot dashboard. So if you've come to office hours before, you've heard us talk about the chatbot, right? It's another tool that's available to your district and can have a really big impact on your community's ability to get those answers out and to streamline some of their work. So once you've got the chatbot up and running for your district, this is where you would come to see those metrics. So you can see just quickly, I can see the total number of questions. I can also choose the time frame. So I'll choose current school year. And I can see how many questions, how many sessions were started, how helpful those answers were rated as. I've got some summaries for those, as well as some themes from those chatbot conversations. And then when I scroll down, I get to see some engagement with that. So I can see like per month and then all of those different metrics, so that I can really kind of see exactly what my chatbot is answering. And I can use all of this information. We can run what's called a completeness report. And if you remember from when we've talked about the chatbot before, since you have control over what metrics your chatbot is, sorry, not what metrics, what resources your chatbot is utilizing to answer questions, we can use this information to make sure that we fill any gaps in the resources and make sure that your chatbot has all of the most current information available. So that's your chatbot dashboard. Next up is our call center dashboard. And this is only available to, again, to those of you who have added call center to your platform. So if you don't have it, and after we look at this today, you're interested in more information, you can reach out to your CSM. But for call center users, this is a great place to come in and see all of the things that are happening with your call center. You can see this CSAT, customer satisfaction information. I can also see details on the calls that have come in, how many voicemails, how many were abandoned, the metrics of those calls, how often they're resolved. And then I can also see specific information about the agents. So again, this is only applicable if you have call center, but if you look at this and you want more information on call center, please reach out because we would love to give you some information about that. Okay. Next up, I want to look at these comparison dashboards over here. These will only be available to our system admin, our category admin, our global users. But these are a great way to get kind of a holistic view of your district's CX scores and dialogue age, right? So let me click on this first one. So we're looking at CX scores and then ticket age, right? And then each of these, when we click on those, we get this quadrant and it's broken into these 4 different categories, right? So the top left quadrant is going to be, these are places where there was good customer service scores, so high CX scores, but they were a little slower to be resolved, right? This top right quadrant is high customer service scores and then faster resolve times. Bottom left is going to be low customer satisfaction and then slower response times. And then over here, low customer satisfaction and then faster response time. So obviously we want to kind of all be living in this top right quadrant where we're providing really great customer service that our customers are happy with and doing it in a kind of a quicker way. So right now we're on the user comparison. So if I hover over each of these, I can see who on my team is the one who received these scores and then what their scores are. And I can scroll down and see additional information about the ticket age and the CX score and all of the folks on my team. Now, when I click on categories, I'm going to get the same information as far as those quadrants, same distribution, each quadrant means the same thing. But this time it's going to give me the categories that we're referring to in each quadrant instead of the breakdown of users. And then I can see that same information as I scroll down here. And then same thing for topics, except for, you might guess this, this time it's broken down by topic, and each of these dots represents the topics in my platform. And same thing, I can scroll down and see more information that way. All right. So these are really great. The reason that, these are really great to look at is these are great ways for me to kind of see where is my team doing really well, right? Where do we need to celebrate? And then maybe where are some of the things that we need to maybe focus on so that we can improve? And same thing with categories like and topics, right? Where are the issues that are happening or where are the things that folks are really pleased with, right? And then that leads me to another feature that I think is often underutilized, and that's the ability to notify users. So I'm going to go back up here to my user category. I'm going to click on notify users, and you'll notice this little pop-up comes up, and I can decide if I want to notify folks based on age, scores, or critical. So let's choose age. And let's say I've got some folks that have some past due tickets. So if I select users with past due tickets, and I'm going to go through and see, it's going to select those members of my team that currently have some past due tickets. It's going to automatically generate a little email with a subject line that kind of just sends them a gentle reminder, right, that they have some past due tickets and that we would really love for them to go in and close those out. So I can send that off and it'll send a little email reminder to those folks. And then on the flip side of that, I can do this with if I've got folks that are doing a really great job and they have some really fast closing times, I can choose users with fast closing times. It'll populate those folks here and it'll send them a cute little email that says, wow, thank you so much. You're doing a great job. Keep it up, right? So that's a great way to just kind of have an eye on things and make sure that you are either giving folks a little nudge that they need or celebrating those folks who are doing a really great job and really low lift on your part because it's really fast and easy to do that. And you can do it. We looked at users, but you can also do it with categories or topics as well. This one would be categories with fast closing times, and it would send to those those category like owners, right? Okay. All right, I want to go ahead and switch over to talking about something that is I alluded to it before, but I told you we'd get into it a little bit more, and that's the ability to utilize filters. Okay, so when I'm on my overview dashboard, I've got this little filter option right here. And when I click on that, you'll see that I have all of these different metrics that come up that I can choose to filter by so that when I display the information on my dashboard, it shows me only those things that I filtered by. So let's say I want to see, show me all of the tickets that were submitted by a parent or guardian under our, let's say academics topics, right? And then I can keep scrolling down here. I can choose if I want to see who the ticket owner is, but I can also keep going. Maybe I want to see all those ones that have a CX score uh, above 7, right? Maybe I want to see, ticket, whatever it is that I want. You can see how in depth I can go with this. I can choose ticket type. I can choose the entry point, so where that ticket came in from, the origin, like what type it was, what language, the status, the priority, even all the way down to like actions taken. So once I have this exactly the way that I want it, you'll see that the ticket, those metrics that I chose appear right here, right? And then I can also choose the time frame. And then this is exactly what we looked at before. We're going to choose save and we're going to name this. So let's say that we call it parent guardian tickets, and I can get really as specific as I want to. But then when I save this, that once again becomes one of my saved searches that I can utilize to pull up. So let's say, you have leadership that wants to see some very specific things. You can come in here, you can create those parameters, save it, and then anytime that you need to pull that up, you can go in and pull that up. And that just allows you to get really specific and drill down on kind of the exact data that your team or that your leadership team wants to see. Okay, let me pause for just a second. Any questions? I'm seeing quite a few things coming in through the chat, but of course, Sharon's doing a fantastic job getting all of those answered. Emily says she wants to see all of the ones related to trending topics. Yep, that is one of the options that I believe you can choose, right? So you would go in and find those topics and you can search by those.
This is a feature request that she's put in. And
Oh,
Emily, I couldn't agree more. We all feel that same way. So I'll make sure I also get it requested.
apparently it's also one that I think would be a great idea because I thought we already had it. So yes, I agree that should be a feature that we have. Thanks, Emily, for sharing that. All right. Okay. One more thing I want to show before we wrap up for today. So I don't know if you've utilized the search feature. So I'm going to go back to my inbox, and you've probably noticed there's this little search here. So I can utilize this. So like if I just want to see, if I want to search my name, I can type that and it's going to pull up all of the tickets that have been either submitted like by me or had my name in them for some reason, right? But we can also do an advanced search that's going to allow us to get much, much deeper. So I clicked on that little advanced search button. And then what you'll see here is that we can search by keywords and we can get really specific. We can say all these words, this exact phrase, or if it contains any of these words. We can also search by origin information. So the type of submission it was, the entry point, the date that it was received, or if it was received before or after or in between two dates, where it was received from, like which type of community member submitted it, the language. We can also get really specific about the ticket details. This is where I mentioned tags earlier. So if you're utilizing tags, you can search for all of the tickets that have been tagged with a certain thing. So let's say we want to see all of the tickets about attendance, any action that was taken when it was last updated. So hopefully you can see here that we can get really specific, right, with the things that we search. And then once we've kind of zeroed in on exactly what we want to see, let me get a little bit more specific here, just so that we can see for our search. I'll go ahead and click search. It's going to pull all of those tickets. And then what we can do is if we like that, we can save it, right? So let's say this was our, what did we say it was? Community attendance, whatever we want to call it. It becomes a saved search over here for us now. We can also download all of those tickets that came up as part of that search, or if it wasn't exactly what we were looking for, we can go ahead and refine it and choose to search something different. So that's our advanced search. Again, just another way to really make sure that you're seeing all of the information that you need and that you're able to find everything that you need, and get your eyes on all of those tickets. All right. Any questions? All right. Well, before we wrap up, we're going to do another quick Zoom poll. So Sharon's going to launch this in just a second. And we just want to know simply, did you learn something today? Did you learn something that you didn't know? Oh, I'm so happy to see 100% yes, because I was going to say if someone said no, I was going to assume that that means you are an expert and we were going to contact you for the next time that we need to go through and show folks the dashboard. So fantastic. I love that hearing that everybody was able to learn something. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. So before we wrap up, I'm going to give just another plug. I've been plugging these folks for the last couple of months, but I stand by it. They are a great resource to utilize and to know about. So this is our client care team. They are our resident Onflo experts, right? Along with your CSM, they are a great way to make sure that you get answers to any questions that you might have. Sometimes they're can be even faster than reaching out to your CSM, especially if it's just a quick question or just a quick kind of troubleshooting thing. Sharon posted their contact information in the chat just now. You can email them, you can call them, you can even submit a ticket. So please make sure that you are saving their information and taking advantage of that. And as always, we love to always invite you to our next office hours session. So next up, next month, it'll be on November 18th, which is of course a Tuesday. There's a QR code you can scan there. We're going to spend that time celebrating the best of what's happened in 2025, looking ahead to 2026, and hopefully we'll have some more rebrand information as well. Sharon will post the link to that in the chat as well so that you can register. And we will be sharing, I think there was a question, Sharon's got it, but I'll voice it just in case. We always share the recording. So even if you register and you're not able to attend, you can still register and you'll receive that recording in your inbox a day or so later. All right. Any questions that we didn't get to or anything that you've been waiting to ask? Now's your time. If there's any questions that you have, please pop those in the chat or raise your hand. We'll bring you off of mute. But while we're waiting for those questions, I just want to say thank you so much for attending today. Sharon, and I hope that you learned something and that you're feeling more ready to tackle your data and to look at your dashboard and really just make that Onflo data part of your regular data practice. So again, we'll look for any questions that come up, but if you don't have any, enjoy the rest of your day and your week. Watch for that recording, and thanks again for your time. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Think we got everything. Thanks so much, Sharon.